Hello, hello.
Hello. Hello.
Can you hear us?
I can.
Awesome.
Okay.
Very good. So, hey, everybody. Welcome to another one of our interviews that we're doing. And for our interviews moving forward, what we're really going to try and accomplish is meet with people that are super talented in their field and then really kind of get their backstory and find out how they got started, what they went through, decisions they made, things they've overcome. Because I don't know, for some reason, Emily and I, those are the things that we care the most about. We think that's really, really cool. And so today we're very fortunate. We have Chef Simone. And Chef Simone, we met through, and you said you were going to
Jeffrey
explain this
Hardwick.
through Jeffrey Hardwick.
So who is a mutual friend / consultant / advisor / Jeffrey, I know you're going to see this later. We don't really know. You're kind of all in one. So thank you, Jeffrey, for putting this relationship together.
Absolutely.
So, hi, Simone. How are you?
I'm great. How are you guys doing?
Doing
Outstanding. Well. And so everybody knows Chef Simone. We're going to go through her story here in a second and then some of the things she's doing now. But she's been featured in People Magazine, Edible Orlando, Orlando Sentinel, Sanford Herald, The Knot Magazine, which we have a lot of experience with The Knot years ago. Mm-hmm. We used to work in the bridal area of the business. Food Network Magazine. And she's also been on several Food Network shows. She was on season 5 of Cooks versus Cons. And she was also on season 14 of Food Network Star. So,
and I know.
Very.
So, which I know that we're going to talk about and we're kind of calling this the Genesis story. So we want people's Genesis beginnings because, people look at business owners or chefs or restaurants or whoever it is who's been successful in their field and think, wow, 10 years later, they're an overnight success. And a lot of times we don't get to hear the backstory of the trials and the tribulations and things that we had to go through. And so Devlin and I really love people's stories and we want to hear people's stories. So he's going to ask you questions about that, but I am going to pipe in just because I kind of want to know a little bit about your experience on the Food Network and how it went and some insights you can give our guests who are watching, all that good stuff. Cause I'm sure they would want us to ask that of you.
Absolutely.
Okay, great.
So
I'm excited.
Our first question is, what in the world made you decide you wanted to cook?
My mom asked that. It's hilarious because I wasn't one that mulled around in the kitchen. So she would force me to be in the kitchen, and I'm not one to force. So I would run away. And so I come from a line on my dad's side and my mother's side of military. They're all military. And so my mother, I started cooking at the age of 9, but my mom didn't know until I was 17. Because I'm the oldest child, and you know what it's like if you're the oldest or you have like an older brother or sister. You have to do everything. And so I'm like, I feel like a slave. So I never told her. And I begged them not to tell my mom that I could cook.
That's so funny. Okay.
It's hilarious. So my grandmother used to watch me pick, like kind of peek in their pots and, see what they were cooking. And I would taste when they weren't around. And so she's the one that also helped to cultivate my palate. And so it wasn't until I was going into the military because I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to travel. And the easiest way to do that was through serving the country. And so I went in, I had 2 choices to either be an MP or a cook. And to give me a gun right away was no bueno. So cook it was. And I didn't realize that I was walking into destiny until many, many moons later after that. But I go into this and my mom is like, well, what is your job going to be? And so I said, I'm going to be a cook. She was like, what? You don't know how to cook? And everyone in the family was like, she's been cooking since she was 9. It was priceless. Great. I wish we had cell phones then.
Great.
Yeah, so what threw me in, I think where the love came for cooking was when I was in Germany by myself in the kitchen, having to create the meals and the menu. And I realized that was the only thing that gave me solace. It was the only thing that kind of tamed my anger, because I had anger issues.
Yeah.
I tell people I had such anger problems, I say. And that was the only thing that kind of put it to a rest for me. And I have hands in dough and all this stuff, and I'm just like, man, I could do this forever. Is this possible? And the rest is history.
This is really why I love the beginning of stories, because just in that little story, we can extrapolate two lessons, if you will. Number one, for anybody who's younger, who's watching and loves to travel, join the military, because you can travel at their expense.
Yeah.
Number two, for if any of us have anger issues, you channel it into something that's more productive. So, and those are two things we would have never really, I think, been brought out in a traditional type interview of. And so that's kind of one of the reasons we're wanting to get the backstories, or, what are some of the little things that you learned in the very beginning? So, all right, go ahead, babe. I'll let you do the next question. Because I honestly don't know what the next question is, because
we don't tell her.
No.
Because then I would never get to talk ever to anyone. I just sit here and go. Ask anybody on our cooking classes. I go, hi, this is my wife. She's like, Devlin's going to do all the talking tonight. And that's the last thing they hear from me. It's amazing. If anybody here's looking, you know exactly what I'm saying.
I like to talk.
One of the questions I have for you, was there any moment, any skill you learned, any recipe you learned that you can go back to and go, that was the turning point when I went, oh my gosh, I can do this. This totally, the whole world opened up to you.
Yeah. So when I joined, I immediately went overseas. And so here's this picky, skinny girl going overseas to a country she had never been. And I had heard my uncles talk about Germany. And they never, not once said, but it's cold there. They just said all this great stuff. I'm like, it's freaking free. And I go there in November in the height of winter for me. And I'm just like, I'm going to die here. This is ridiculous. But I remember I had barricaded myself in the room because I couldn't believe, like, it's so freaking cold. And my unit was right outside. The unit was this, we were on a farm. And so across was this, it's called Rathaus, which means restaurant. And so there's this little tiny restaurant there. And so they're like trying to get me to go. And I'm this picky eater. I'm like, what am I going to eat here? I only remember the hot dogs.
Right.
And so we go in. And they order for me, and they ordered me the schnitzel and croquettes. And the croquettes are these potato balls almost that they just deep fry. They bread them up and deep fry them, and they're so delicious, especially when you dip them in the gravy that they bring it with. It's amazing. And that is my favorite dish. And when I tasted that, everything changed for me, because I was like, oh, this is like my mom's pork chop. Because it was like a smothered pork chop, but it's just really thin. And right. I kept going back there. And the more I went, they taught me about the Jaeger schnitzel, the other schnitzels. And I realized in Germany, they don't eat a lot of beef. So it's pork, chicken, or nothing else. Sauerkraut, hot dogs. Right. And so for me, being stationed in Germany opened up a wealth of knowledge, because to me, it was the epicenter for everything else. Like, I could go to Italy, I could go to France, I could go to Austria, all these different places, and learn all this cuisine. So there's that instance. Another instance where I was a little smart alecky, and I went to this Chinese restaurant. And of course, I'm originally from New York, so we think of the street Chinese food, or what we think is Chinese food. And so I go in there, I'm like, they don't have real egg rolls. They don't have real fried rice. And this woman, the Asian lady, comes out and she says to me, come here. Let me show you, you live in America where everything is commercialized, but I'm going to show you how the Asians eat and how they prepare things. And I thought, now I think about it, and I was like, what a wonderful lady. She must have thought I was a lunatic when I first came in. And she taught me about the service. She taught me about what a real egg roll is, how rice is prepared. And she taught me one key thing that I use to date. When you go into any Asian restaurant, ask whatever they're eating, you eat that, because the other stuff is not real. It's some Americanized type of meal. And by going to those places and opening up in these different countries, it opened up a palette of international cuisine that it's a gambit that I use today. So when people ask me what type of cuisine I love and know, I go to international cuisine. I go straight to international cuisine. What is my love is sauces and marinades. But that, being overseas, took this picky eating girl and just opened up a world that I didn't even know existed had I not gone there.
That's awesome.
That answers your question?
Yeah, oh yeah. And
And Jeffrey put out
Jeffrey.
Hilarious. Yeah, you saw that? Shasta. Hi, Jeffrey.
Hi, Jeffrey. So that we've got a really good idea of how you got started. From reading about your story, I know that you also had some obstacles that you had to overcome. This was, I guess, about that time of getting the service, somewhere around there. And so if someone looking at you today, seeing that you've been on Food Network, it'd be easy for them to assume that, you just decided to cook one day and you're a star. So what were some of the obstacles that you had to go through?
We
only have 30 minutes.
Thanks for that. I just whip out my long list of things here. We all have this view of how things are going to be, right? And of course, we think that it's not going that way when we start to journey out that walk. And for me, my whole family, I come from a family of pastors, prophets, and evangelists. That's my whole dad's side, my mom's side. So church was the foundation for me. But with that, I didn't have a relationship. I knew God, but I didn't know him intimately. And it took me being with the wrong person and learning the voice of God when I could tell I was always an intuitive child. And so I could tell that I shouldn't have been with this person. You shouldn't be here. But as a woman, we think that we can change people. I just stick it out. I can make him be this. And it was like, no. Even, you're standing at the altar and God is like, you can leave. You don't have to do this. But look at all these people. They've all come to see the show. It was a mess. And so I continue on this what I think is the best idea ever. And the Lord is like, all right. And 2 years into the marriage, everything goes chaos. And he ends up hooking up with someone that led him down to drugs and alcohol. And I not wanting to deal with that. And my first instinct, I ain't got to deal with this. I'm out of this piece. So I'm a runner. I don't want to deal with it. I'm gone. And the Lord wanted to show me that's not how you deal with things, especially the time you were supposed to run, you didn't. So now you're here. So you got to stay in this. And so I didn't quite understand. And I thought I was going crazy. But what ended up happening by me leaving and not really listening to the voice of God, I wound up going into an apartment that turned out to be inhabitable. I couldn't live there anymore. I kept getting sick. And so when taking him to rehab, when I shouldn't have been taking him anywhere, it was supposed to be up to him. my car got struck by lightning on the way. It was a clear day. It wasn't raining or nothing. It was sunny. And I was looking out the window like, oh my God, it's so pretty. And then my car gets struck by lightning. And so I come out of the car and I swear it looks like I'm in a drive-by. And because there's like these little they look like bullet holes all over my car. Brand new car, by the way. So long story short, when I come back after they tow the car and all that, and I come back to my apartment, there's a notice on the door that says I have either 7 or 10 days to vacate because the place is unlivable. And so I'm looking like, so I'm gonna be homeless. Is this it? And so now I'm really upset. I'm angry. I'm mad at God because I'm like, what is this? You know, this is new to me. The relationship is new to me. Me listening to his voice is new to me because at this time I just started, my journal writings have changed. So I went from writing in my journals, just me, Simone, to now they're being his words. And so all of this is taking place as I'm transitioning out into this, what I thought was the streets. I thought he was literally going to put me in the streets. And series of things happened before I got out there. I was upset. I remember writing a letter to a friend at the time because when I feel like when your back's against the wall and a lot of times you're not sure what you're going to do, God is not there. He has clearly left the building. We think that because we're in our emotions, we're in our feelings, and we believe that he has left the building. And I felt like, bump you, God, you have left the building, or you crazy. And I'm not about to go through this, and I shouldn't have to. And so I remember taking these pills because because the building was so unlivable, I had all of this medication at my disposal. And so I decided this crazy idea, I'm going to take these pills and just end it all because no one cares. Like my life this is just ridiculous. I can't believe that I'm here. And I remember taking them at 9:45 p.m. and I woke up at 3:45 a.m. from a dream where the Lord told me that you cannot die. There's much that I require of you and that you're in your valley. And that's, so he showed me in the dream of a tunnel. And at the tunnel, there was all this light. And so he asked me to look at where I stood. And I said, I looked at where I stood. And he said, how far are you from the tunnel, the light? And so I was like, I'm not far. And like, I woke up from that point. And I woke up so freaking happy that I didn't do something so stupid and so temporal. A lot of times we think what we're going through is permanent when it's really temporary. And so when I went through that, I was still about to be homeless. It didn't change that. But he put me in a place. I had to rent a room. And I rented that room for a couple of months. The lady thought I was making all this money. I don't know how she thought that, but she thought I was making this money. And so she put me out on New Year's Eve. And I remember using all of the money that I had gathered up from my catering events, because before being homeless, I was catering. And I had secured a few clients. And so now I'm down to my one client. I've run out of money. I've used all my money on the hotels because I was going from hotel to hotel. And with all that being said, I didn't even know that I was homeless. I didn't look homeless. I didn't have to stand out on a corner and be like, hey, can you give me, some cash for some food or whatever, which was another blessing. My church didn't even know that I was homeless. It was just amazing that he had made such a way for me, providing, of course, that I remained obedient. And that the car getting struck by lightning, me being homeless, I just waved the white flag and was like, dude, whatever you want to do, bro, I'm here for you. I'll be homeless and get my car struck by lightning again. That's okay.
That feels like mine. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So it was like that aha moment. Let me do this. And it was the best thing for me because it was it led me to a lot of healing. I was able to address a lot of my anger issues, a lot of why I chose certain things, my value system, who I really was and what my purpose was. And so from out of that homelessness, before getting my keys, I think I didn't have my own keys for a year and a half. And when the woman kicked me out and I didn't know what to do. And I was saying to the Lord, I was like, so this is what you do to your kids. By this time I have a new car, I have a job. And I'm like, so where am I supposed to go? Like, what am I supposed to do? And before I could get the tears out, my client calls and she's like, Simone, how are you? And I have to act like I got an office there. Hi, I'm doing great. Everything's fine.
Right.
And she's like, really? Because I was in prayer and the Lord told me that you're supposed to stay with me. What? Like, what? This is what okay. All right. Well, yeah. So I stayed with her for 2 months, and then the Lord led me to my place, and then he led me to my husband that I have today.
Wow.
Yeah. And so all of that, it was, even when we were going through the whole God has your husband, and I have friends today that are looking like, what do you mean God gives you your husband? Because I tell them I didn't look, I didn't go dating, I didn't go on those sites. I literally was like, I'm not going back out because my picker is clearly broken. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to stay here and you going to pick for me because he does that, right?
Right.
And that's exactly what he did. So within all of that had happened to me, I came out. I think of the story David, when David went into the wilderness and he had like nobody and dude came out with a whole army. That was me. I felt like when I came out of my homelessness with 5 books, a catering company, and a husband.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Oh my goodness. That's truly beauty for ashes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, what you said, I'll never forget. I mean, this just on a personal note, when Devil and I got married, when we got engaged, one of our mentors at the time sat us both down, and this wasn't marriage counseling. This was just, it's Devil and I feel it's very important that you have people speak into your life, but who you let those people be.
Yeah.
Because not everybody needs to be speaking into your life.
We decided not to take marriage counseling from our friends that have been divorced 9 times. We didn't actually have a friend that was divorced 9 times. It was just an example.
Right.
But they're always the ones who want to give you the advice.
It's true. It's true.
But he sat us down, and it was Ned and Eileen Crenshaw, and we're still in touch with them. And Ned asked us, he said, can you guys marry each other if nothing about either one of you changes? And he specifically looked at me and said, if Devlin never changes, can you spend the rest of your life with him? And if you can answer that question, yes, then get married. But if you're marrying him in hopes that one day he changes, you need to run. And so, and I had to sit down and take some time, really pray about that and really search myself and go, can I handle if he never changes, and praise God, the answer was yes.
I would have said no.
I said yes.
You did. I'm super happy.
So, wow. Like, I don't even know what question to ask you after this, because that was such a, and this is why I love hearing people's beginnings, because how often do you really get to share, your beginning journey? Everybody likes the successful part, but we don't like the trenches necessarily. And I don't think there's anything wrong with not liking the trenches either.
I agree. I think too, we think a lot of times, because this is how the Lord has been dealing with me even now, we get caught up on our title. Like, I am this chef. I'm a chef. And so when he had to tell me, you're more than a chef. Like, the books that I have written out are self-help books for women to help them find their identity and understand their purpose in life, and that it's not just one thing. And that's the same thing with all of us. You can't, the Lord, he gives us these gifts, yes. But if you look at it in the sense of the talents, the men with the talents, I always go to that. He gave one person one talent. The poor man buried his little talent, but everyone else, they got double. Their talents grew and more things came. And it's the same thing. So when you get, say, 3 talents and now you need 2 more. You can't be talking about, well, I'm this chef, but you got these other 3 talents that you gotta take care of. What are you gonna do with those? So you can't just be one thing.
And where
I
can
think.
people find your books, Simone?
Oh Lord Jesus. So they're on Lily in the Valley is my first book, and that's the one that actually has a lot of my journal writings in there and a lot of things that God spoke to me about on my journey through the homelessness and out of the homelessness. So that's
Okay.
Lily in the Valley. And my other books you would have to get directly from me. And so one is Bruised but Not Broken, Living Single and Loving It. Oh gosh, and I have another one for teenagers. And that's a co-authored books. All of these are co-authored books. So Bruised but Not Broken, Lily. So if you go to pwn.org, it's an organization for women, and you'll find a lot of those books there.
Okay, and just type in Simone Lett, I'm assuming, into the search, and
You'll
your
see
books
on it because I'm one of the board people there.
Okay.
I'm one of the
Right. Not to throw you off, because I know you weren't planning on talking about books, but I didn't even know you had books. And so I'm like, oh,
That's the
well, we
gist.
should probably put that out there.
Go, Devlin.
And so if right, hi, I'm still here. So are any of those books available through your website? Like, are there links to them from there?
No, I have to do better. Because like we just talked about these little talents.
Right.
I didn't know what to do with them, because what happened when the catering turned into the Incredible Hulk, I was writing and going off and speaking, and then it was like, it's time for the catering to go. And so now, once we get settled here in Atlanta, my hope is to put all of that on a Chef Simone site so that you can be able to see everything that Chef Simone has done.
I think that's a great idea. Totally.
So last question, because we're about out of time. Last question, Food Network. So how did that happen?
Food Network, we all, most chefs love Food Network. And so I grew up watching Food Network. And when I had hired some chefs, I was more so supervising, not doing a lot of the cooking. So I guess they thought that I lost my stuff. I don't know. And so I said, okay, we had a bet. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to come in the kitchen. And I'm going to show you what a sister's working with.
Right.
So I had some people come in. We did a bunch of food and took pictures of all of the plating and everything. And so my favorite show on Food Network is Cooks versus Cons. I love the show, and I also love Food Network Stars. And I came home after my shoot, and I was sitting on the couch, and I was always planning to apply, but I kept hearing, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. And so I'm sitting on the couch watching Cooks versus Cons, and I clearly hear, now you can apply. And so I applied and put my new pictures in there, and literally 3 days later, they called me.
Oh, wow.
They called me, did an interview, and next thing you know, I was on the show.
Awesome.
Yeah. It was the best ever. It was the best. And one of my affirmations was like, I'm going to be on the Chew, and I'm going to meet Chef Carla Hall. And she happened to be one of the judges. And so we're friends.
Wow.
Yeah, I saw the picture, and I'm like, I know her. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yep. And I got on Food Network Star because of Cooks versus Cons. So I'm very talkative, as y'all know, and I talk to everybody. And so on the set, I was talking to everybody, the trash man, everybody. I was just so happy to be like on TV. And I remember telling my mom, didn't I tell you when I was young? Because I used to run around the house and tell her, I want to be big. I want to be on TV. And she just shooed me away. And there I was about to be on TV.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so I got on the Food Network Star because of me being on that show. And they was like, we have to have you here. We think this will be great for you. So I didn't have to really interview to get on, like really apply. They just kind of put me in. Yeah.
Well, I can see why. You're very captivating. So, I Well, for those of you who met us at Snow Creek Ranch doing our cooking classes last summer, which I know there's several of you part of our group who did that. So we would like to fly you in this summer and actually have you do one of the cooking classes at the ranch and feature you, Chef Simone, at the ranch here in Colorado. So hopefully we can get that set up with you and get that kind of planned out and,
Absolutely.
see you then. And I have to cough. Hang on. Okay.
No cough. So the fact that Emily can talk is exciting.
That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, of course, we'll be dealing with beef, so we can do some type of beef schnitzel. We'll have to figure it out.
Ooh, yeah.
Amazing.
You got me thinking. Oh,
And then Jeffrey just asked, can we have Simone back for another interview? Yes, that's one of the things I was going to mention. I think we should definitely do some more interviews. I also know that you're working on a weight program. Like it's called it's better than weight loss. Is that what
it's better than weight loss? Yep. We have I started the weight loss program in the height of COVID. And the program is more on when people hear weight loss, they only hear weight loss. They don't hear the rest. The program is it's not a typical weight loss program. So it's more on inner healing. I found doing my own program myself that if you don't tackle a lot of the emotions and the things that are going on inwardly, the weight's not going to come off. A lot of us, we don't realize that it's not about so much about what we're eating, but it's about what we're thinking, how we're feeling. And a lot of that weight can contribute to its spiritual weight. And so when you can kind of peel back the layers, you'll find your weight starts to shed off. So I've lost 20 pounds. I've been able to keep the 20, but with everything that's going on, and this is not an excuse. I'm telling y'all, don't use it as an excuse. But we haven't been able to push it and promote it the way that we should, because with the personal chef side of the business, it's growing like crazy because no one's going out really to eat and stuff.
No, totally.
But we've gotten some great people on there thus far that love it.
And I'd seen that, and I know we had talked before about it. And I think that's something once you really get some more info on that, we should really push that out. I think that's something we should definitely have just a whole interview based on that. So I think there's a lot of people that would benefit from that information. So
yeah, I totally agree.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, I had to cough. And no, it's not a COVID cough. It's just a standard run-of-the-mill cough.
Sad we have to do that now. You sneeze and everybody's like, oh.
I'm like, no, it's just, your standard run-of-the-mill cold.
Well, the problem I have is anytime I walk from inside a store to outside in the sun, I see the sun, I have to sneeze. I've always been that way. And so I've never thought about it a day in my life until the last year. And so now I walk outside and I like cover myself up and run to the car just so people aren't like, kill the person. So it's very sad.
Oh,
yeah.
This is a great interview, and the lady is awesome. Definitely have her back in any way you can. Thank you, Kenny. And Kenny, she does. Tell Kenny what you do in Florida, because he is in Bradenton, Florida, which is near Tampa.
Brandon.
Oh, Tampa. Yep. So we had a whole catering company in Orlando. That's where we came from. And so I can't seem to leave because people are still reaching out about their weddings and stuff. But we're doing the personal chef stuff. So we have some chefs already there that we had working with us. So we've opened it up for Atlanta and Orlando. So we have our personal chefs that'll be there providing meals under Red Door, our catering company. Okay.
And then go to reddooreventsatlanta.com to find out more about your personal chef services, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right, perfect. Oh, yeah, there's your website. Look at that. Danny, our little moderator. I don't know what you are, Danny.
We have a magic video elf named Danny.
I need the Danny.
You need the Danny.
The appropriate term is live video producer.
He's a real person, folks. Just so everybody knows.
I know.
Not me throwing my voice.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, Simone, you know that I've loved you since day one, since we spoke last year.
I know,
And
so
I can't wait to meet you in person.
I know that has to happen.
Yeah, we
Well,
just so everybody knows, we connected with Simone, and then like COVID hit, and so it's always been video. That's the only way we've been able to do anything.
Yes. So hopefully we get you out here next year. We will certainly schedule another interview with you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in and who's watching this later. And make sure you visit Chef Simone at reddooreventsatlanta.com. And then also in the video, she gave a website where you can find some of her books as well. So thank you so much. Yeah. Go ahead,
also, if there's any specific recipes you guys would like to hear from her, because we didn't really even talk about her cooking, and she's an amazing cook. Obviously, in the comments section, whether you're seeing this live right now or later on YouTube, put in the comments section what you would like to see, and we can get that done.
Oh yeah, I'm in love with Asian right now. Asian and Middle Eastern food is my jam.
There you go.
All right. So if y'all want an Asian or a Middle Eastern food recipe, put it in the comments, and we'll see if we can get Chef Simone back and have her either make it on air or just put out the recipe. We'll figure it out, one of the two. Does that work?
We could do an Iron Chef.
Thank you
Herbert
so much for having me. This was great.
Thank you, Simone. We super appreciate it.
All right. We will talk soon. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Bye, guys.
Bye.